They laughed at his shoes, mocked his accent, whispered like he didn't have ears, like he wasn't real, just a shadow in their world of gold-plated lockers and designer backpacks. They called him the Ghost, not because he was scary, but because he was quiet, too quiet, and poor, supposedly poor, in a school where tuition cost more than most people's cars. And if you didn't drive in with a Tesla, a Porsche, or at least a new Benz, you were nothing. But before we unveil this story, make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you won't miss out on this type of story. He was nothing, they thought, just a dark-skinned boy in old sneakers, who walked alone, ate alone, never spoke. Always wore the same gray hoodie with a tear near the collar. And yet, somehow, every time Savannah Whitlock saw him, her eyes narrowed, like she couldn't believe he dared exist in her space. Savannah, the queen of Westwick Academy, tall, blonde, icy smile, blue eyes sharp enough to cut. Her father ran a billion-dollar tech empire. Her mother designed jewelry for presidents' wives. Savannah didn't walk, she glided, like the school belonged to her. And in a way, it did, until Kaden Myles showed up. He didn't say a word on his first day, head down, books clutched to his chest, ignored the stares, the whispers. But Savannah noticed, of course she noticed. Because power needs something to crush, and Kaden became her favorite target, she started light. "Did you get lost on the way to the community school?" She'd ask in front of her friends, fake laughing, eyes daring him to respond. He didn't, so she pushed harder. Next day, she spilled orange juice on his seat and watched him sit in it. The cafeteria howled. Kaden got up, walked away soaked. Not a word, and that silence? It drove her insane, because bullies feed on pain, on tears, on reaction. But Kaden gave her none, and that made her crueler. Next week, she grabbed his notebook, flipped through pages, found a poem, read it loud. To the class, "The silence is my shield, the world my battlefield." What is this, Shakespeare from the slums? Everyone laughed again. Even the teacher smiled awkwardly, and Kaden? He just stared at her, blank, unbothered, like he knew something she didn't. By the second month, it was routine. Savannah found new ways to humiliate him, hiding his bag, throwing candy wrappers at him, getting her followers to post him on TikTok under #GhostAtWestwick. And the more she did it, the more popular she became, the more invisible Kaden seemed. Until one day, something snapped, not in him, but around him. It was a Wednesday, overcast. Skies, wind shaking the flagpole outside the school gates. Students gathered at the front, expecting the usual drop-offs, Range Rovers, BMWs. But then, 3 black SUVs rolled up. Windows tinted, engines silent. They parked, doors opened. Out stepped 2 men in black suits with earpieces, scanning the area. Then one of them walked around and opened the back door of the 3rd SUV, and out came Kaden. Not hoodie Kaden, not beaten down, quiet Kaden. This Kaden wore a jet black suit, tailored, sharp, with polished shoes and a silver watch that caught the sun. His hair clean-cut, posture straight. Behind him a man whispered, "Sir, your father is on the secure line." And students watching from the window blinked in disbelief. Teachers froze mid-step. Savannah, sipping her overpriced latte, turned and nearly dropped it, because this couldn't be real. Kaden Myles, her punching bag, was walking with security like a VIP, heading not to class, but straight to the principal's office. Within an hour, the truth exploded across campus. Kaden wasn't poor, not even close. He was the son of Quentin Myles, the silent billionaire investor who'd just bought majority ownership of Westwick Academy through one of his shell firms, meaning, effectively, Kaden owned the school, and the people who laughed? Now they whispered in panic. Savannah was summoned to the dean's office later that day, thinking maybe it was about college applications, but when she opened the door, she found Kaden already there, sitting calmly, legs crossed, beside him a legal advisor. On the desk, a manila folder with her name written on it in bold. Inside, evidence, screenshots, recordings, timestamps, her cruelty cataloged like a court case. The dean's voice trembled as she said, "Ms. Whitlock, your actions have violated the Academy's code of conduct." And Savannah tried to speak, tried to explain, but Kaden raised a hand, his voice finally speaking, low, firm, every word like a nail. "I gave you chances. You chose humiliation." She looked at him, eyes wet, voice breaking, "I didn't know who you were." And he answered coldly, "That's the problem. You only respect power when it wears a suit." Then stood, walked out, and left her, crumbling in silence. The fallout was swift. Savannah suspended, her influencer status in flames. Classmates who once worshipped her now distanced themselves. Sponsors pulled deals. Her TikTok flooded with backlash. Hashtag Justice for Kaden trending nationwide. News outlets picked up the story. Rich girl bullies billionaire's son. Podcasts debated the ethics. Schools everywhere began reviewing policies on harassment. But Kaden didn't gloat, didn't post, didn't brag. Instead, he created a new program at Westwick, one that offered mentorship and scholarships to underrepresented students. Called it Ghost to Gold, told the school, "We don't need louder voices, we need stronger ones." His silence had been his armor, but now his voice was a weapon, used not for vengeance, but for change. Then, just when it seemed like the story had found its perfect ending, he disappeared, left the school, deleted social media, no warning, no goodbye, just gone. Savannah, now returned from her suspension, still haunted by guilt, received a plain white envelope in her locker a week later. No return name. Inside, just a single black card, with the image of a knight chess piece and one line printed in silver foil. The game never ends. Only the players change. Her hands shook. She looked around, heart racing, because for the first time, she realized Kaden Myles wasn't just a kid. He was a force, and the world hadn't seen the last of him. No, it had only just begun.